We're running all right off the compressor on.
Yeah, well, I've run the CS for nearly an hour. I'll get that out and get it ready.
That's a really useful point. It is, yeah.
I think there's a can there somewhere. That's a priming lever. So that must be some sort of pump. That's for the that's the
Yeah, that's what Joe did say. That's what Joe did say. Yeah. The expression that the system for the whole world. Yeah, that was one of the things from the old. Well, it's still, I've still got them on there. Yeah, I haven't got it.
Yeah. Now, I'm too low because everybody is telling me. So we want it to speed up. So if we can simulate a pressure drop here. The turbine, if it goes through passenger so there's an emergency door. When it's running like this, if it was running fairly full day, what sort of fuel did you get through in terms of... We run it for, I guess it's...
Gotcha. Which you can only have.
I'll get them running for you, you can
thing is, you know, they look so easy. But it's the technology is quite easy, really, isn't it?
I was just talking to your chum next door, and long ago back at school I did some of the work that he's doing now. So I've been there, seen there and done it, but not in the last 50 years. And you don't realise actually how much engineering went into making that in the first place. Let alone the fact that it's going to work and do things like that.
The interesting thing is, the first job you need to do is to make that in wood.
Really?
Because every piece of casting, you have a wooden pattern.
Mr. Davis is London, 1861.
Same river, just grew up just behind my friend's house. All of this traffic is done on the station there.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Have you seen inside that? Because who's that
That's the
run by?
environment agency.
You work to go on it.
Down there, there's a centrifugal pump. It's pretty loud. It will pour water from below. Lift it up. Once it's through there, into the river there. There will be a pair of brakes there. Into the river. Nowadays, the water level in there is never high enough. So it never drops. But what you see there is water from the condenser going down, trying to get back to the pump. Some of it gets going back out. So it's sort of the same, but it's not actually doing it.
So just put those bars away. What we're going to do is forge a small bit of paper onto the end, so this gentleman can put it into the ground here. That's our start. The farrier stuff, so there's a couple of horseshoes we've made on the side there. Because once upon a time the blacksmith did everything.
Yeah.
He is the king of all crafts. If you can't have a metal chisel, you're a bit of a rubbish carpenter.
Yeah.
The masons who put themselves at such a high level.
Yeah.
Last time I looked, all their tools are made from metal.
Yeah.
So somebody's made their tools for them. So why the blacksmith isn't as secretive as the masons, obviously, because we build churches. But I do tell a story, and I tell the story of what magic truly is, and it's blacksmithing. Until the 13th century, blacksmiths were known as wizards, because we were doing alchemy to the layman, the person who couldn't read or write, who just worked in the field all day. Imagine, take ourselves back to that time, at this very spot, and a layman sat down to have a rest. He should be at prayer actually, because it's midday, but he's having a rest. Right, so he's been working out here, clearing reeds for thatching and for other things, and for cold walling. And he looks across, and the blacksmith, a barge has just come up the River Parrett, and it's full of this black rock. And the blacksmith comes over and pays good silver, hack silver, gold, to this ferryman who's come all the way from France, Francia, or from Wales. Completely different worlds to this layman. But the blacksmith's paid good money for this rock. And it comes into the blacksmith shop. And then out from over the Polden Hills, these black men come out from the forests, and they are the charcoalers. They're very rare men. They don't really talk to people very much. They're very much men of the woods. they're bodgers in later periods of time. And they come and they give the blacksmith charcoal. The blacksmith will give them a tool, an item, or good money for their work. And then the blacksmith and his apprentice, or the armourist and his apprentice in the story, will disappear into the forge for months and months and months. And after that months, they come out and they're holding a status symbol of full power, which is the sword. That's magic. And I just said that process is drawing out, you forging, you're getting rocks, you're drawing out the bars into points and whatever. So if Arthur Merlin disappeared into a forge and drew the sword from a stone, is that magic? At that period of time, they decided that Anglo-Saxons were actually Arthur, he's not a Roman, he's not this and the other. And they are bringing over steels from Byzantia, from all over the place. And it's stuff that Britain hasn't seen. They've seen the simple, well not simple, the massive great swords the Celts and the Picts would have gone around with. They've seen the gladiuses and the Spartas of the Roman army. But now we're seeing these beautiful, they called them serpent swords, or these what we now call Damascus steel blades or pattern welded blades, unbreakable blades in comparison, because they've what they've done is they've layered up steels, and then they've got twisted steels in the centre, so this blade can be twisted, can be bent, and it won't shatter. That's your magical blades, swords. We know that before the 1300s, where things start to change, where armoury, where warfare almost becomes mechanised. This was called the strike, because that's what you did with it. You strike it. Blacksmiths until the beginning of the 19th century. A striker, this is a striker's hammer. This is a 14-pound sledgehammer. That's a striker's hammer. All dog face, so it's more weight on this side. And you hold it incredibly weirdly. You cross yourself over and you strike like this, so you always come down flat. Because that's very important. If you come down at an angle, you'll break the man's hand, which is holding off the steel. So strikers would go around all over the place, and you imagine for, let's say, Black Country, strikers would finish on a Sunday or a Saturday, and then they'd go off and play football. Strikers, because they hit things for a living, and they hit a ball around, so they get called strikers. That's where we start to see that name come into modern culture. 1300s, the hammer gets invented. Each side of a hammer is called a pane. This is called a cross-pane hammer, because the hammer is solely for delivering a lot of pain to armoured knights. Then it's called the hammer, and for whatever reason we've kept calling this a hammer. So actually a hammer is a weapon, a strike is a tool. And it's that blacksmithing is that simple because of the people who did it. You weren't educated as such. Most apprentices started at 10 years old. I actually fell in love with blacksmithing at 10 years old. I was very lucky to grow up in an area of the world which is beautiful and had a blacksmith in the village still. And I never turned up to school one day. And my parents were furious. Where have you been? Whatever. I've been watching him up on Exmoor, near Withypool.
Oh yeah.
And a blacksmith, James Horrobin at the time. Very, very talented blacksmith. I had no idea, but I'm watching things like the Winston Churchill Memorial being built or something like that. He was just Jim the blacksmith. That's just who we knew him as, James Horrobin. And yes, I spent the entire day watching him work and getting into lots of trouble for not going to school. Because it was magical. It was awe-inspiring and magical.
I mean, that's one of the like most common ones. Yeah, I